A tribe is any group of people, large or small, who are connected to one another, an idea, and a leader. For millions of years, humans have joined tribes, be they religious, ethnic, political, music, or even sports. Roll Tide. We were made to live in community. We were built for tribes. Now the internet eliminated the barriers of geography, cost, and time. All those blogs and social networking sites are helping existing tribes get bigger and enabling new tribes to be born, groups of 10 or 10 million. What tribes are you a part of? And are they bringing you closer to your best, or are they dragging you away from realizing your full potential? Our guest today is Seth Godin. Seth is an entrepreneur, best-selling author, and speaker. In addition to launching one of the most popular blogs in the world, he's written 20 best-selling books. Today, he joins our tribe to offer you timeless wisdom to help you become your personal and your professional best. Seth Godin, welcome to Personal and Professional Best.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
Seth, let me ask you a simple question to get us started. Do you, Seth Godin, want to become your personal and your professional best?
You know, it's not that simple a question because in many areas of my life, the answer is no. There are so many things in my life where I just sort of phone it in so I can get back to the other stuff. And I think we can get ourselves in a trap thinking I have to be my personal best at making sure that the medicine cabinet is in alphabetical order or that I'm, the best driver who ever lived. I'm a good enough driver, and now I can go back to the other parts. The real question for me is there something right in front of me that I care enough about that I'm willing to explore personal discomfort so I can learn and so I can grow? And for that, count me in, because that makes my life better every time.
So the answer is yes, the caveat being specifically, you have certain things, goals that matter more than maybe the medicine cabinet and how it's organized. I love it. All right. So it's informative for the rest of us that we not only say yes, but that we take the time to really be detailed and specific about how our God-given talents can make a difference and how we can influence in the best way possible. Our tribe, Seth, my tribe, Supreme Lending, our common cause, as we talk about tribes, is to become our personal and professional best, because most adults, in fact, almost every adult I've ever met, says yes, they want it. Most don't get it because they're not intentional about getting it. So we created a tribe where that's what we do every day. We're pursuing it. We're talking about it. We're setting goals to become it, not only personally, but professionally as well. Our tribe's mission, that's what we want to do. How we expect that we're going to be able to get there is to live our lives, because we believe that relationships are the most important part of life. And we believe that serving others, living selflessly, unlocks our best. It's the roadmap to get the best. So everything we think, we say, we do is inspired to inspire people and to educate people, to challenge them. Sound like a tribe that you want to be a part of?
I think that the work of making things better than you found them and doing work that matters for people who care, building it about relationships, is critical, particularly in a world as fraught as the one we are living in right now, where some people make a profit by dividing us, by making us panic, by pushing us away. And it's not easy to be the best at anything. It requires an enormous expenditure of emotional labor and commitment. And what we have is this chance to accept the fact that relationships are not the same as did I close the sale. They're not the same as did I get more followers. that on social media, your friends aren't your friends and the people who like you don't like you. That's not what's being kept score of. And the goal, I hope, is to look back and say, I'm proud of what I did today, and I'm proud of what I did last month, and I'm proud of what I did a year ago. And if we can leave behind that sort of trail, you should count me in.
Well, I'm hoping that some of the wisdom and insight that are a part of your writings in the past will leave our tribe a little bit better today than it was prior to meeting Seth Godin. So let me ask you a question, simple one. Describe what a tribe is for all of us.
Right. So it's easy to misunderstand. And the first thing I got to say really clearly is that the word tribe has been around for thousands and thousands of years, back to the deserts in the Middle East. It has been misused by colonialists to oppress people, indigenous peoples. There's no disrespect intended when I talk about tribes. Tribes are a group of people who are connected, and they're connected by a common goal. They're connected by a common culture, and they may have a leader. But the thing about it is you don't have a tribe. They will persist even if you go away. People are in a tribe because they want to be. And we can notice, back in the day when I was running through airports, oh, you have the same laptop I have. We're in the same team because we were both. Why? What does it even mean that we both bought this new laptop the first day it was out? Well, what it means is that we want to be part of something, because the truth is our old laptop was totally sufficient at computing power. The new laptop is a signal. It's a banner. It's a flag that we get to fly. And human beings thrive in community. And the question is, can we build communities with intention and be really clear about what it means to say people like us do things like this? And part of the magic of what you've built, Pat, is you're really clear who the people like us are. And you're really clear about what the things like this are. What is it like around here? Because culture defeats strategy every day. Culture is how we decide what we're going to do next, and we ought to build that on purpose.
Listen, so all of us, I think we live our lives and we're in tribes, family. We're in a tribe in our workplace. We're in a tribe in our community. We're in a tribe when we decide our political bends, right? We're in a tribe at our church life, if we have a church life. For me, I love sports, so I'm in the Alabama Crimson Tide tribe, right? So we're all part of tribes. Do the tribes that we belong to, do they influence the outcome of our lives?
Well, I think that sometimes we get stuck because we can be manipulated because of our tribal affiliation. And that's a problem. And we've seen it throughout history where somebody says, I can stand up and say OH and a whole bunch of people are going to say IO. I can stand up and say Roll Tide and some people are going to know what I just meant. And I can then use that to get them to do things they wouldn't do otherwise. And if a tribe has a moral, committed, generous, visionary leader, that tribe will accomplish things it never could have imagined without it. And that, when we think about what it is to be a human, is at the heart of it. And we have to be really, again, intentional about saying, this is already changing who I am, what I buy, how I vote, who I talk to, who I spend time with, where I live. Why don't I do it on purpose? Because the fact is, if you had been born 10 zip codes different than you were, you wouldn't be supporting Roll Tide. You'd be, part of this other tribe, because that's just an accident of history. It's not because there's some absolute value that makes you pick one thing instead of another.
Yeah, so there's a fundamental need then, is what I'm hearing you say, to belong as humans to tribes. That's natural. And tribes that are meaningful and beneficial, they have a purpose that's meaningful and beneficial. And so maybe it'd be wise if we all did an inventory, like all Americans right now, do an inventory of all the tribes that you are intentionally belonging to, and then the other tribes that your 3 hours a day on social media kind of place you in. Because if in fact all of this is affecting us and influencing us, the things that we think, say, and do, we probably need to stop and do an inventory with regard to it so that we can be more intentional going forward in our choices. How has the advent, Seth, of social media in the last, say, roughly, right, 13, 14, 15 years in America, how's that affected this conversation about tribes and about belonging to tribes?
Yeah. So the very concentration of the media hits that come in straight to our amygdala, straight into our brain over and over again. Media works. Marketing works. If it didn't work, companies wouldn't spend all this money on it. It works. And so if you are indoctrinating yourself with 3 or 4 hours of tweets or cable news, it's going to change you. It's going to push you farther into whatever it is that you do. And if that's making you better, and I remember, in 1985, listening to 5 hours of Zig Ziglar every single day for a year, my life got better because I indoctrinated myself. But I also see people, a senior citizen who loses their life savings because they've been indoctrinated by a scamster who's showing up and showing up and showing up, getting them to believe that to be part of the tribe they wish to be part of, they have to make decisions that don't benefit them. And a key part of my work for the last 20 years is pointing out that each of us has more power than we would like to believe. Part of it is the power to decide which tribe we're in. And part of it is the ability to lead people around us. So if you are working with 5 or 10 or 15 coworkers, who decides what's it like around here? Who decides which jokes get laughed at the office? Who decides what the standard thing people eat for lunch is? Who decides which salespeople get celebrated and which ones get shunned? Because, if you want to go see humanity not working very well, go hang out at a used car lot where the culture is, let's see who we can rip off more tomorrow. And it didn't get there in one day. It got there gradually because someone amplified certain behaviors and denigrated other ones.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to hear that. The way I've always bought cars, I've told them exactly the kind of car I want with all the features that I want. I've told them if they could get me in and out for 15 minutes, I'd pay exactly what they asked me to pay. And then the final thing I leave them with is, God is watching. Make a fair deal for yourself. Because I always want people that I buy from to earn a profit. It's important that we think that way. But I also want them to be accountable and responsible to themselves so that they don't wind up doing things that, aren't in their best interest in the long run, even though maybe in the moment it's in their best interest. So 24/7, 365, that's the news cycle channel that we currently have. When you grew up, 30 minutes a night, we'd get national news by journalists who actually told us the happenings that were important of the day, generally speaking, without very much bias. The advent of social media, the 24/7, 365 news cycle, it feels like we really have now no longer news, but we have marketing. That the cycle is about getting our eyes and our ears and our attention because they want to sell something. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think the word news is the challenge here. Because when we lived in the village 500 years ago, the news was obviously the news. It was just everything that was different since yesterday. Now, there's a ton of things that are different since yesterday around the world that you're not hearing about. You're not hearing about what happened in Bangladesh yesterday, nor are you hearing about the person 3 doors down from you who's heartbroken because something bad happened in their family. It's just, there's a selected subset of the news of the day. And certain news stories get repeated over and over and over again because they worked yesterday. And what does it mean to work? Well, the typical significant news organization has 4 editors for every reporter. And those editors are not paying attention to what are all the changes in the world today, nor are they paying attention to what's the narrative that would make our life better. They're paying attention to, did people tune in more today than yesterday? And so there's this appeal to our baser instincts. And it's not just news. The same thing's going on when they're talking about the stock market. I mean, when they say the Dow went up 174 points today, that's an insane statement. Because first of all, it's an insignificant digit compared to the Dow, that whatever it is. They should just say the Dow is basically unchanged today, because that's the same as 174. And to say it plummeted 50 or it soared 50, well, what we're hearing are the word plummeted and soared, not the number 50. And no one owns the Dow anyway. So when you add all of that up, what we're seeing is manipulation. And my definition of manipulation is, if you knew what they knew, would you want them to do what they're doing? And the answer is probably not.
So if I were counseling a young teenager today, or a young child who was growing up, or a young adult, or for that matter, a professional that worked in my organization, it's important, it seems to me, that the advent of how things have changed from a communication standpoint, and therefore it brings you into tribes that maybe you didn't even agree to join, right? You're in a tribe now, and it's affecting you because they're constantly dousing you with information to manipulate, which is the word that you used. So it really is important that we take a moment to just stop, right? And maybe just rethink the tribes we're in and decide if they really are working for us, making us better in life, leading us to better places, having us think about, say, and do things that are actually better. Last year, Seth, with all of the challenge in America, and there was a lot of them, beyond COVID, there was an election that we had, and there was the racial unrest. And one of the creeds that we communicated as an organization to our tribe was that we can be for everybody and not be for everything, but we can still be for everybody. And it felt like that was landing in a pretty good spot, because I know in my own relationship with Lisa, I'm married 36 years. Well, she likes Mexican food more than I do, right? But I still am for her. I'm not against her because of that. So I think, I'm grateful that you're here today to talk to us about tribes, so we can rethink not only the tribes that we're in, but the ones that we'll join in the future. You're not just an author of the book Tribes. You've written, how many books have you written now, Seth?
Well, I tell people it's 20 bestsellers, but before that I was a book packager. So I actually did 115 books before that, but they don't really count because I was someone who made books as opposed to being an author. So I usually just say 20.
20. And you've covered a lot of different ground. One of the areas, because you've been in business, very successful in business, I always admire authors who have messages that are transcendent messages that benefit mankind. And certainly you've done that, but you also come from a place where our audience, they're all in business. They can really kind of connect to some of the work that you've done. You've written All Marketers Are Liars, This is Marketing, Poke the Box, and Purple Cow. So you've got a background that really does understand business and consumers. Because most of our audience are out realtors trying to build their own tribe of customers and grow their tribe of customers today. What's your best advice for business people from a perspective of building their tribe and growing their tribe of customers?
There are two things that require a lot of humility. One of them is to realize that we're not right. We are right about our feelings, but we are rarely right about the way we are sure the world works. That there are, other than doing physics or something that is easily measurable, most of what we are engaging with is, this feels right to me, but that's different than I am right. And different people have different experiences. They see the world differently. They don't know what you know. They didn't see what you saw. They don't believe what you believe. They don't want what you want. And if you can't say that's okay, then you can't connect to them at any level, because people have a choice now. And if you're starting by saying this thing that you say is right disagrees with the thing I'm saying is right, therefore there is no relationship with us, you can't begin. And then the second thing that's hard is to accept the fact that you probably don't have a tribe, but you might be lucky enough to show up for one. So in my case, I'm super lucky. 1 million people read my blog every day, but they're not mine. It's not my tribe. These are people who were reading Fast Company magazine before I was a columnist there. And these are people who were, working with you at a previous company before I was there. Who knows what they were doing? They're not mine. But sometimes I get to whisper to them. Sometimes I get to connect them. Sometimes I get to give them something to talk about with one another. And so if you're a business person, you can look at the world and say, who's out there that needs to be connected? Where is there a group of people that is naturally coalescing, that is looking for a flag, or that needs someone to help them with their narration, to help them figure out where to go, how to get to where they wanted to go all along? And that humility allows us to develop the practical empathy. Who's this for? What's it for? What change am I seeking to make? And that is how you build a business for the ages.
So we, in our tribe here at Supreme Lending, I've been married, as I said, 36 years to Lisa. And I've always said putting up and down Christmas trees and moving are the only two times she and I usually get into a rub together. The moving thing is kind of a big deal because I'm in the business of helping people move. And so we are our mission, serving others before self. We empathize with other Pats who on moving day need to know the money's going to be there every single time so that they can indeed go through the frustrations of moving on the day they need to move, which is really important in the world and in the business. So that's the tribe we're trying to recruit. We're not trying to make the lowest price take place to those that will be our customers. We're trying to tell a group of customers that if what you really want, what we think is right, what you really want would be to be able to reduce frustrations and stress and know for sure you can guarantee you'll move on that day, then maybe you should be a part of our tribe. Is it true that too many businesses are trying to make every potential customer their customer?
Right. So there's two parts to this, and you're covering some stuff that's really brilliant, and I don't want to let it go by. If moving was fun and easy and you did it all by yourself, then Supreme and the stuff that you're building would disappear. That it is in fact a feature that not only is it fraught with risk and fear, but you have to explain to your spouse and your family the decisions you made. Those things permit you to exist because you don't sell basis points. Someone can sell basis points cheaper than you. What you sell is a story, peace of mind, and satisfaction. What you sell is in this moment that is so fraught that is going to change everything about my family. One less thing to worry about. What you sell is the ability to tell the other people in your circle, your family, your kids, whatever it is, I did the right thing by us because I didn't try to save $50. I tried instead to do the right thing that will make this transition what we need it to be. And that choice is hard to make because we are surrounded by people who are racing to the bottom. And the problem with a race to the bottom is you might win, or worse, come in second, and then you get nothing. The alternative is to race to the top. But when you race to the top, most customers might not want to come with you because they live in a world where they've been indoctrinated into racing to the bottom. And that's fine. The smallest viable audience is the goal, not the biggest possible audience. Because if you say we make stuff for everyone, if you could say you could pick anyone and we're anyone, you don't stand for anything. But on the other hand, if you say this might not be for you, but if you're the kind of person that wants X, Y, and Z, we are the best choice in the whole world. And in fact, here's the phone numbers of 3 people who say they compete with us, but they can't give you X, Y, and Z. They're just cheaper. If you are regularly and eagerly sending people to low service, low trust, cheaper choices, the right people will appreciate you more. Because it's not like your customers don't know there are options. Of course they do. Hiding the options doesn't make it better. It helps. So when you think about authors blurbing books, why would an author blurb a book? Right? Like, just buy my book. Well, no. Tim Cook doesn't blurb a Samsung phone because he wants to buy an Apple phone because he knows there's scarcity. But when it comes to books, I know there's a whole bookstore filled with books. And I know that maybe you don't want to read the book I wrote today. Read this book. Read that book. Because I don't care. I just want you to be happy. And in the case here, if it's not the right thing for somebody because they're playing a different game, then eagerly send them away. But if you can be the best choice for the right people, they will tell the others. And that is how businesses grow. Not with you yelling at people, but with the people you're serving telling the others.
Yeah, you mentioned that in your communications constantly, that marketing to the masses is not the right idea. It's knowing who you are and your beliefs and what your value proposition is, and then finding your way into the tribe, if you will, with those that believe similarly than you. I saw a commercial one time that really resonated with me, Seth. It was around Christmas time during football season, and they were back to back. And Microsoft came on introducing its computer, its laptop, and they were talking about the features and the power, and it was very technical. They finished that commercial, and then Apple had a commercial where there was no product. It was just Bono from U2 rocking, and it just stopped. And I was like, oh my God, I'll buy it. And they weren't even selling anything. But isn't that kind of it, that we belong in certain places as consumers, and then as business owners, we need to understand that not everybody belongs with us? Is that right?
Yes. And let me defend Microsoft for a second there. Different people want different things. And Microsoft was selling something very specific to a very specific group of people. And if Apple hadn't gotten incredibly lucky 3 times, they would have been out of business. What you have to do is be really focused on what story do the people I seek to serve tell themselves before I even get there. Because everyone tells themselves a story about money. Everyone tells themselves a story about moving, et cetera, et cetera. So if you show up with a story that matches the way you tell yourself a story, it's likely that it's not going to match the way they tell themselves a story. And an example of this is the people who sell financial services. And I've spent time talking with them. Many of them insist that they will earn their customers the best return on investment. That's absurd. How can all of them be the best? Right? In fact, pretty close to a rounding error, none of them can be the best. So insisting that they are right means that they're going to lose. Instead, it may make sense to say there's a certain kind of person who has a certain relationship with their family that needs a certain kind of interaction around money. And I, because I am local and schooled in this, am the perfect person to help them on that journey. Would they make more money with a Vanguard index fund? Almost certainly. But that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss what will work for you right now when you need to tell your spouse and your kids about the choices you just made.
Amazing. Hey, I had an opportunity to speak to the Kennesaw State University, the business school, recently. And one of the things that I shared with them, because they're all getting out of school now and they're going to enter the employment market, and having interviewed literally thousands of people over the years, I wanted to get a way for them to rethink how they think about what to do next with their life, what tribe to join, if you will. And I said to them, since you take a lot of tests and have been taking a lot of tests, fill in this blank. The purpose of business in America is to make and of course, profit financially. And I said, I want you to rethink this with me just for a second. The purpose of business in America is to make a difference in the lives of those that we serve with the gifts that we have. And so if someone's out there today, they're getting out of school, their child's getting out of school, they've been told, hey, go into this company, you can make more money. You can make more money. You can make more money. What do you think about that in terms of joining a tribe whose sales pitch to you is you'll make more money?
So Milton Friedman is partly responsible for this nonsense that the only purpose of a corporation is to make a profit. It's not written down in any law. There's no history that that's the purpose of a corporation. And it has led to the demise of countless corporations because they forget to make a difference. They make a short-term profit and then they're gone. And I totally agree with you that the perfect purpose of an organization, and it might be a corporation, is to make a difference. Why else should you spend your time? And the thing is, if you are going to get a job, you really do have a choice. You can say, I'm trading my time for money, and I'm going to sacrifice all of those hours. They're going to be worth nothing to me, but I'm going to get enough money when I am done that I'll be glad I did it. And if that's what you're going to do, you should be really clear about it, and you should go get a job doing certain kinds of moving money from one pile to another type work, because that's how you'll make the most money. And then you can turn around and give that money to charity if you want. And, Peter Singer says that you were a good human for doing that. Or you can say, well, 40, 50 hours a week for 20, 30, 40 years, that's most of my adult life. I would like to have a job where I am thrilled and proud and connected, and I'm doing work that I can point to and say, I made a difference. And if you're going to do that work, then don't get confused by how much money you're getting paid, because no, you shouldn't work for free. You need to support your family, but you can't maximize both numbers. You can maximize one of them.
When I look back on my career, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in communications, a relatively average pedigree, if you will, right? What I found is that building a tribe whose purpose was much bigger than a benefit to me, what I got, was for what we could give to others, be meaningful in the lives of others, both at home, in the workplace, in our communities. I found that because there's joy in doing that I've also gotten back way more financially than I would have ever imagined. And I think that's a simple, fundamental misunderstanding that most have, which is that most think about what they're going to get as opposed to what they have to give, right? And I love all of the work that you've done is really to feel like inspiring people to know that they have something to give to the world that's meaningful, and it'll benefit the world that they were here when they were doing it. So I've got one last question to ask.
Can I just jump? I just want to jump in with a small insertion here, because you and I have been talking about being generous. Generous does not mean free. Generous does not mean you have to lower your price. Sometimes the most generous thing you can do is charge extra, because money is a story, and you don't have the cheapest car in your driveway, and you're not wearing the cheapest pair of clothes, and you're not sending your kid to the cheapest university. Cheapest isn't the same as generous. Generous means extending emotional labor, telling the truth, seeing others, treating them with dignity, and yes, creating tension so that they will go forward in a way that they're proud of later. And I just needed to say that, because money is so complicated and it's so easy for us to lose the thread.
Yeah, we can get distracted by the focus on money every day. That's for certain. The old axiom of, when people get to the final days in their life, they're not really focused on the money anymore. They're focused on the people that were in their life, and they find them to be most valuable. If we live that way every day and really think about our neighbors in that way, of course, in the day and time we live in, where there's an awful lot of division, I'm really encouraging our folks every single day to be intentional about extending generosity, as you just described it, to strangers, to neighbors, and even to those that you don't agree with on any number of different issues, because that generosity or love that we give will indeed be that thing that we can do to make the world a little bit better. Hey, what's the one thing as we leave today? What's the one thing that all of us can know that Seth Godin, or two things, or that you're working on to get better, either personally or professional, in your life story? What are you trying to do, Seth?
Years ago, I was, my friend told me the story. She was on a plane, and the person sitting next to her just kept staring at her. And she finally turned and said, "I'm sorry, is the noise inside my head bothering you?" And
that's a line we all could take with us. That's amazing. Go ahead. You're working on the noise?
I'm working on the noise inside my head. I think that being congruent and clear, not getting stuck in old habits, not saying I do this because I used to do this, and when I used to do it, it was the right thing, so it must still be the right thing. That we don't have, I do a blog post a day, but that means I only get to write tomorrow's blog post once. How can I make that one the one that is the right one for the people I'm trying to serve? I only get to, do the next project one time. What is the next project? Getting congruence and clarity about it, because we're all so lucky if we're watching this. We have a high-speed internet connection. We have a roof over our head. Hopefully we are reasonably healthy and reasonably happy. Given the privilege that we've been given, earned and unearned, what are we going to do with it? And it can't hurt to take a minute to think deeply about the fact that it's not just an opportunity, it's a responsibility. It's our chance to show up to make things better by making better things. And I would like to do a better job of that for myself. And hopefully I can help model that for other people too.
Well, I think that's something universally all of us can take away today, because we live in a world that is really distracting. There's a million different sources of information, and it starts first thing when we wake up and it doesn't end seemingly. And getting clarity and getting our focus back. When you were talking, I was thinking that your purpose and mission, you probably use different words. Mine's always been to leave other people that are in my life better than when I found them in my life. And I say that with absolute humility. I just intentionally want to do that. I can tell that me and you have a lot in common on that front, that you're constantly focusing on trying to make people and the world a little bit better than you found it. Seth Godin, thank you so much for all the work that you've done to affect the way folks like Patrick Flood and his tribe think about the work that they'll do. And we're better as people and as professionals for knowing you, Seth. God bless you, and we wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you. And thank you for doing the hard work that most CEOs wouldn't bother doing, which is recalibrating your intentionality and showing up to lead with purpose. I think it matters a great deal, and it's a pleasure to know you.
I really love being part of the Supreme Lending Tribe because they truly, truly care about their employees. They really do.
I love being part of the Supreme Lending Tribe because we strive to give the best customer experience every time.
I love being part of the Supreme Lending Tribe simply because I get to work in such a great environment whereby you can actually have a satisfying work experience and everybody cares about one another and we put people first.
I love being part of the Supreme Lending Tribe because they care so much about us achieving our goals both professionally and personally through PP&B.
The best part of being part of the Supreme Lending Tribe is we bring out the best in each other.
The reason I chose to join the Supreme Lending Tribe is because everyone here is like a huge family.
Hey, my name is Kyle McGann. I'm an underwriter and I'm new here. I'm very excited for my career here because of the opportunities to work for a company that respects me.
I love being a part of the Supreme Lending Tribe because it truly feels like family.
The reason why I love being part of the Supreme Lending Tribe is because of the people, the culture, and Pat and Lisa.
I love being part of the Supreme Lending Tribe because they pay me 8 figures.
I love being a part of the Supreme Tribe because I enjoy working with people that are not only my coworkers, but my friends as well.
The reason I chose to join the Supreme Lending Tribe is because of the endless opportunities and culture here.
Supreme Lending is my tribe because I love the people that work here.
I love being part of the Supreme Lending Tribe because I love the challenges that come every day and the camaraderie on my team.
What an honor it is to be a part of the Supreme Lending Tribe. I also want to thank Seth Godin for offering his wisdom to all of us today. My goodness gracious, he has a great gift to share. My big takeaways. We should all do an inventory of the tribes that we're a part of, both the tribes that we've chosen to join and the tribes that we've simply found ourselves to be a part of, with the filter of a few simple questions. Is being a part of this tribe leaving me better? Is the tribe leaving others better in my life? Is my tribe making the world a better place? These are important questions to ask. If the answers are yes, best is waiting right around the corner. If, however, the answer is no, maybe it's time to intentionally leave some tribes and join some new tribes, some better tribes, tribes that are helping us to become our best, and tribes that are for others becoming their best. My second big takeaway is that social media has unleashed an avalanche of new tribes, some good, some not so much. The average American adult invests 2 to 3 hours a day getting marketed to by our social platforms, including the news. Some real, some fake. all geared to sell us something. We need to ask the question, is that 2 to 3 hours the best way to become our best in life? Or could we instead replace that time by investing in our own journey to best and helping others become their best as well? Seth offered so many nuggets of wisdom today. My big business takeaway: to grow our customer tribe, don't get caught up in the race to the bottom. Why? Well, you just might win, or worse, come in second and get nothing. Instead, get focused on the race to the top. If you do, you'll earn a tribe of raving fans, the right customers that will most benefit by being a part of your tribe. Sign me up for that idea. Our journey to best, the purpose of our tribe at Supreme Lending, it continues. We believe to get to where we want to go, we simply need to live our lives in the service of others. Best, it starts with serving others, replacing what we can get in life with what we have to give, at home, in the workplace, everywhere, with everyone. If you'd like to join our race to the top, if you'd like to join our tribe, you simply need to go to supremebest.com and get started. Sign up for Best GPS, our free online tool that isn't selling you anything. It'll help you identify where you want to go in every area of life, in family and relationships, in health and fitness, in personal finance, in fun and recreation, in faith and or community service, and in your business life. Next, be honest about your current location, where you currently are in life. Then create your plan to get where you want to go, to your personal and professional best. Our promise: we'll be with you every step of the way as we continue to provide inspiration like you heard today, voices of leadership and accountability that are committed to helping you become your best. Now that's a tribe worth joining. Best is waiting. Meet you there.